Hello everyone, Alexandrus here, back to you with a new video, and as you can see by the title, it will be an interview with CEO of the Refinance project. And today you are also able to win $100 in either USDT or Ethereum. We'll see how I will actually host it. However, it's possible thanks to the CEO. So I just quickly wanted to introduce you to the Refinance. It's our first cross-chain DeFi operating system powered by Polkadot. I asked the guy named by Danko a few interesting, in my opinion, questions from you, from my Instagram, which you are also able to see down below in the left bottom corner. I believe we'll see how my editing guy will montage this video. And yeah, to win the 100 USD, all you need to do is like the video, share it anywhere, and comment down below what are your thoughts about Refinance, do you like it, and also you need to be active subscriber of my channel to be chosen, and the reward will be sent after, I believe, 1 or 2 weeks. Of course, it will be shown on my Instagram as I do with all the other giveaways. Refinance also have LinkedIn, and they are listed on CoinMarketCap for the tracking purposes. So you can go ahead, the links will be down below in the description, and now I invite you to the interview. I hope you will enjoy the video, and yeah, just enjoy it. I'm already with Danko on Google Hangouts, and we'll start from there. So first of all, you can introduce yourself to the viewers.
Sure. So I'm Danko. I'm the CEO of Reef. I have a tech background. I live in Slovenia. I started development generally in early high school. I started with C++. I did algorithmic competitions for a few years.
That's nice.
And then then I moved into the commercial world, where I worked for 2 different ERP providers. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. It's the software that companies are using in the background.
Yeah.
I built some warehouse modules, as well as some mobile app for like commercialists and mobile selling, those things are still used to this day, which is great. And after that, I moved into healthcare. I worked for one of the biggest healthcare platform providers. I was there for around 2.5 years, and the last 6 months I was leading a team. We were working on a complex app for it's a tool for modeling healthcare data, very like performance heavy. We also did a lot of real-time data processing there, and through this company, enthusiasts about crypto. So around 6 years ago, I got into it. I started blockchain development myself. My first experience was with NXT. Maybe some of your viewers remember NXT blockchain, which then turned into Ardor.
I think they will.
It sounds like it was 10 years ago. It was more like 6. Yeah.
Exactly.
So obviously I did a lot of Solidity and Ethereum in the meantime, as well as Steam, BitShares, as well as some EOS. So I'm based in Slovenia, and the development community here for like blockchain development is not like super big, so everyone kind of knows each other. And 2 years ago we decided to team up like with a few people, and we started working together on different blockchain projects as well as analytics projects. And last year we mostly did analytics. We mostly did B2B, worked for some crypto hedge funds. So it was more like a data science oriented, where we crypto data, we extracted metrics out of selling those metrics, and the funds were making decisions based on this. And last year, like around to fully focus on DeFi, and we started building Reef. And since January this year, I've been pretty much working full time on Reef.
That's nice. We'll start with one community question, I think.
Sure.
So what are your listing plans for the Reef token with the exchanges?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, it's our plan is, it's not officially announced yet, but we are targeting first week of December. So this is basically the first time publicly announcing, but next Wednesday would be the actual official announcement. We are monitoring the market and the whole COVID/stock market situation. But we are confident that the first week of December will be the official TG date.
That's
And
nice.
so we are actually talking currently to Binance and Huobi.
Ooh.
We haven't pulled the trigger on which one we are going with. We worked on certain integrations with Binance in the background, so we are kind of like close with them. We are just exploring the possibilities. So those are like 2 tier 1 exchanges. There is a lot of interest from their side for our project, which is great. And obviously, besides this, we will definitely bootstrap the pools on Uniswap and Balancer. Like the DEXs are extremely important for us because our ecosystem, our components are tied to the Uniswap pool as well. So yeah, that's it on the listing plans.
Okay, so those are some cool exchanges, and I have another question according to those listings. And I know it might be hard to predict the price of the token, but people were asking what, by your thoughts, the price could be in middle of year 2021, so in a half of a year, pretty much.
Right. So first of all, like there is something that I think everyone should understand is that there is, and us being like analytics company, there is certain correlation between the average market returns and everything else. Obviously, like most of the tokens are like also denominated in like other currencies like BTC and Ether. And when there is like certain trend, there is a tailwind, like generally, and things go up, and then smaller market cap coins tend to be more volatile.
Yeah.
And by more volatile, it means like they tend to go like up more and more down as well. So it's like, so what happens with Reef? When we were designing Reef, we had like this sustainability in mind, and our engine is directly correlated with the price. We are coming something with projected price. So I cannot say exactly, like obviously exactly how much would the price be, but one thing is certain, that if the DeFi landscape keeps getting more attention, we are positioned in a way where we are directly gaining from the growth of this landscape. So if there is more, and there will be more and more interest around DeFi, Reef is directly integrated into this growth.
Okay. Quick question from the community again. Where you and the team, where are you based at? Which country?
So I'm based in Slovenia, in Ljubljana. Ljubljana is the capital of Slovenia.
Exactly.
We have an office here. We've had this office for over 2 now. It's a pretty big office in the center of Ljubljana.
Okay. And so we are talking about the exchanges, and we know that with many DeFis there is a problem with holding the liquidity and stuff. So how will Refinance generate enough liquidity to make the project sustainable and to make the price good as well?
Yeah, so like one of our biggest value proposition is the global liquidity aggregation, where we plug into like all the exchanges, as well as centralized as well as decentralized ones. So with Binance we've been working on integrating their liquidity into Reef, and besides that, we've had a lot of experience in the past and our own like service. We're providing market making, so we kind of like know like we have certain strategies that are again tied to the whole DeFi ecosystem as a whole, and as more attention comes into it, the more liquidity there will be, which means even big order size, big orders will eventually not affect as much the price. So yeah, we have like certain plans. We're working on different projections and simulations. What if this happens? What if that happens? So
okay.
Yeah, we are prepared for that.
So that's nice. You are prepared for everything. I like that. And question strictly attached to the previous one as well, because it's based on smart contract, and as we know,
Sure.
they can have bugs and all that kind of stuff. So have you been auditing your smart contracts with any companies maybe?
Yes, actually we are currently in the process of get it audited. So we will get audited by multiple companies. So besides, but as we've seen, so auditing is just like a pair of eyes or two. They would take a look at our code base. their job is to try to understand as much as possible, but certain projects such as ours, there is like a lot of complexity, so it's extremely hard to audit it, and that's why we decided to engage with more than one auditing companies. And on top of that, what we are doing, we are adding strict, like hard-coded programmatic limits into our smart contracts, which means, and this is something that all the projects should do, and some of them do it, but they're not doing it in a gradual way. So what happens is, when we launch, like the amount of money that our, ecosystem as a whole, so it's multiple smart contracts, right,
Exactly.
that can hold is limited, let's say, to like 200 Ether. So 200 Ether is an amount that is still, like, if a hacker finds it, they're still incentivized, obviously, to abuse it. But on the other side, we will be able to cover it because that's, the reason why all of those projects are raising so much money. This is one of the reasons, because, if you don't grow so fast, you might be able to cover for your mistakes. And by gradually increasing the programmatic limits, I mean, not like, for example, Wi-Fi, where they would increase the limit to like 50 or 20 million, what happened like a few weeks ago. That's like too, so it's not gradual, it just happened too fast. And so if we start from something, let's say like 50K or 100K US dollars, and then over time increase it to like 300 to half a mil to a mil, maybe like over a year it can get to like few mil. And if you're a hacker and if you found something, it's still like, for example, let's say half a mil, and you would be like, oh yeah, but if they find an exploit, they can wait until you increase the limits, and yeah, but they cannot wait because someone else might find the exploit before them. So imagine, like, if you know the hack, if you know that you can take if you can hack a certain smart contract, would you be able to wait like few months? That's very hard, because someone else can also find that exploit and they take the funds out. So it's all about not just auditing, but also modeling the incentive around the security. And this is something that we've put a lot of effort in. And I honestly think that other projects should definitely consider this approach.
Okay, so you are prepared for all the security measures. That's great. So another question: do you have any marketing strategy to help people hear about the project and blow up the token? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the way we are positioned, of course, we have like a huge marketing team, and our team is, on multiple continents, so we are pretty much active in all the time zones. We are just ramping up hard on marketing in China. We've partnered with one of the biggest, outlets out there. We've started having AMAs with, that with Chinese community. Everything goes through translations, and the way the project is positioned, we are partnering with a lot of like projects. And for example, we announced Kava partnership last week, and Matic, and more huge partnerships are coming very soon. So all of those things, combined, can accelerate our momentum even further. And now, as we close to the TG, we might even have like a small public sale, so other like eventual users of the platform are able to buy like a certain amount of tokens before we go live.
Okay, that's cool. Also, I saw on the website that the project is built on the Polkadot, which is also recently growing up. It's a great coin in my opinion. And why you chose Polkadot instead of, for example, Ethereum or other blockchain?
Yeah, so that's interesting. That's usually like one of the most common questions. And I think those questions come from the perspective that if you choose Polkadot, you're not on Ethereum. And the reason why Polkadot exists in first place is to defragment the ecosystem, so there will never be again, are you here, why not there? And so Polkadot has this interoperability layer which allows to plug into like other ecosystems, and we are building on Polkadot to utilize this interoperability layer, so the users through Reef will be able to access pretty much all the ecosystems. So our goal is you come on Reef, and that's it. Like, you don't have to go anywhere else. You through Reef, you are accessing like Wi-Fi, you are accessing Curve, you are accessing like Uniswap pool staking, you're accessing Aave lending, multi-hop strategies, Wi-Fi vaults, value vaults, like everything is there. And also other ecosystems such as Kava, new Polkadot parachains such as Stuffy. So all of those things are different ecosystems, and through Reef you'll be able to access all of them. So we are definitely not on Polkadot and not on Ethereum. Actually, it's the other way around. We are very, very present on Ethereum, but just utilizing Polkadot's layer to bring even more ecosystem into our ecosystem. Pretty much.
Okay, that's very well explained. And now I want to get into the question which is about communities, about the countries and continents. So is there any restriction about which community or country or continent can participate, or it's accessible for everyone globally?
So the product is accessible for everyone globally. Of course, we want to onboard as many users as we can. We are planning to add certain fiat gateways, which they themselves have certain restrictions. And based on where the user access where the user comes from, like if they come from some country from which the payment provider does not accept their country, the payment gateway will just not show up. But mostly all the over 80-90% of the assets will be accessible worldwide.
Okay, that's great. Another question about liquidity. So as we all know, you can provide liquidity for DeFi projects, and are there any benefits if you want to provide it for Refinance?
Yes, that's a great question. So the way our ecosystem works together with the token is very interesting, because I think it's like a completely new model. It's not like a copy of something that it's like someone can take an open source code, just deploy it, and it's like, yeah, we have a project, call it like some food name and so on. So by staking, so you have multiple ways how you can stake into Reef, and one of the staking mechanisms are staking LP tokens. So if you would go and if you would provide liquidity on Uniswap, you would get like LP token in your wallet. So LP token means liquidity providing token. And then we have like a farm, which is like either a no lock farm or like a lock farm, let's say 6 months, 12 months or 24 months, where you can take that LP token and you can lock it in the farm. And now, based on which farm are you in, so let's say there is a farm that just allows you to lock your Reef tokens without any no lock, so you can take them out at any point in time. Great. Then there is a farm that you can lock your Reef tokens at a certain period. Then you have like a farm that you can lock LP token in, for example, no lock. And then there is a farm that you can lock long-term LP token. So what happens if you do that? So it's like the deepest possible liquidity providing is locking LP token for 6 months or 12 months. You are exposed to all the revenue that the ecosystem is generating. And then people are like, okay, but what revenue? Like, can you explain like what do you mean by revenue generating? Yeah. So we have multiple income streams. So one is first is protocol fees. So every time people use our basket engine, when we route their funds to the appropriate places, there is certain like fee that needs to be paid. For rebalancing, when rebalancing needs to be triggered, or a reallocation, again, like certain percentage through the DAO, this can be adjusted. Maybe at the beginning it will be zero fees for this revenue stream. But the second one, which is one of the most important ones, is when users invest through Reef, so they're utilizing the basket engine, and they, for example, get into like, let's say, medium risk basket. So they are getting exposed to multiple tokens, they're getting exposed to multiple staking activities, and so on. And they're able to easily monitor their position. They don't have to manage the LP tokens, all of those like things in the wallet. Everything is handled in the basket engine for you. And let's say you make certain profit. Let's say you put like, 100 Ether and you made 10% profit. So your profit is 10 Ether. When you choose to liquidate this basket, there is this pop-up which shows what would be the payout ratio of your profits that you earned. And then there you have to choose between 10 and 100% of your profits to be paid in Reef. It means we are not charging fee, but we are, like a percentage of your profits, minimum 10. Again, the minimum can be adjusted through the DAO. Has to be taken in Reef, which means we get to keep, a more liquid. Obviously, you can take that Reef and sell it on the market. or directly, you can directly choose to stake it further. Which means the basket engine, like certain more liquid, let's say, keeps like 1 Ether. This 1 Ether directly goes into the Uniswap pool, either as liquidity providing or a direct buyback. And what happens, this mechanism allowed us to create something called projected price. It means that if the spot price of Reef is $1, for example, and in the basket engine there is like, let's say, $10 million, and the users earned 10% profit so far on average, it means like, a 1%, 1 million is a profit. And now out of this 1 million, at least 10% will enter in the token, which is 100K. And what happens is since we have the liquidity aggregator, we can, monitor all the order books on all the exchanges as well as the Uniswap pool. And then we can take the paper gains from the basket engine and we can say, okay, if all the users liquidate their baskets now, the token price will move to this. So this is called projected price. And obviously the more people are using Reef, the bigger the projected price, which actually becomes realized price.
Okay.
So as you've seen, everything is engineered around the ecosystem and the token.
Okay, that makes sense. So we talked about staking and farming, and there is a lot of those projects that offer the DeFi farming as well. Yield farming, and they offer crazy APIs. Usually, many of those projects are also scams, unfortunately.
Exactly.
What is your opinion on that? And is Reef also planning on involving yield farming, or you will focus on the liquidity providing more?
Yeah, so actually Reef is not just the aggregator. It's like the smart, actually the bigger part of our value proposition is the smart yield farming, which means because as I mentioned, we've worked last year mostly on analytics. So we've built like a super complex system which collects a lot of data from social media, from exchanges, as well as blockchain traffic. We extract certain metrics for different DeFi instruments, for example, tokens, pools, lending protocols, and so on. And then we grade those instruments based on their fundamentals. And out of those metrics, we derive risk levels. And you as a user would come, you're like, look, I have 50 Ether. There is 2 types of baskets. One is stablecoin yield farming basket, which you get exposed to other. So it's not, these instruments are not deployed by Reef. For example, a stablecoin yield farming would most likely include some vault on a Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
And then through this basket, you're getting exposed to other DeFi instruments, obviously diversified. And if you choose like a more volatile basket, again, you will get exposed maybe to like a token such as Chainlink, or maybe some multi-hop strategy, which will like take the funds, borrow against. Again, depending on the risk levels. So Reef is all about yield farming, but we are not the project that will deploy those yield farming financial primitives. But we are on top of them. So through Reef, you will be able to access multiple different yield farming activities.
Okay. Another question is if you could explain us which major problems are there in current centralized finances, as well as whole DeFi system, which can be solved by Reef, and also how can they be solved by Reef?
Yeah, so if we're talking about the traditional centralized finance, as you guys noticed, there are many problems. First, from the inflating of assets, and this usually goes together with the economic cycle. Interest rates are hitting rock bottom and going negative. There is tons of money printing just to sustain those prices. The assets such as Tesla, as we've seen, is overinflated. So there are many problems around the centralized financial world, which will probably take an hour to cover most of them. So regarding DeFi, so DeFi is, as everyone knows, it's still in early stage, and it's I think DeFi is the most promising, let's call it project, when we talk blockchain. So as we've seen, Bitcoin has been one of the most used cryptocurrencies and will grow even further, and its purpose has been money. So this landscape now expands into more than just money, and that's DeFi. So our goal here is to and what happens with traditional, so this back to the issues with centralized finance, we cannot innovate. It's over-regulated. The big players are already established. It's pretty much impossible to try to do anything. Certain projects like TransferWise and Revolut, they established themselves in a very small niche, but again, they couldn't change the whole stack of everything. So it's like old tech, it's very, politics, lobbyists and so on. So you cannot really innovate there. It's just impossible. It's over-regulated. So here, it's a landscape where we can, for the first time ever, in a very decentralized manner, innovate all the financial primitives out there. And when I call financial primitives, I mean building blocks of the economy. So you have like insurance, you have like lending, you have borrowing, you have actual exchange and so on. So this landscape is just getting started. And I think that, in 10 years from now, or when we have like kids, they wouldn't understand how we could possibly live with the current, centralized finance world. So yeah,
okay.
That's what I think.
And I think that it will be the last question for the video, but I think it's the most important one as well. So when the big money comes in, people obviously will worry about the security of their data, of their money as well. Yeah, it's pretty common. So in what kind of ways does Refinance provide the security for the users and for their data? And is your project, your project is fully decentralized, but is there any risk, any chance that it will be centralized in future, or rather it's impossible?
Yeah, so actually we are not collecting any kind of user data. So our goal was, even if for whatever reason our infrastructure gets hacked, like for example, the analytics engine where we collect some data and we process some things, it should not affect anything. It just, we can just simply restart it and it's fine. So we're not collecting data, we're not collecting emails, personal data, IP addresses, none of that. Then, regarding security, I already mentioned, we are working with multiple like auditing companies, as well as we are adding strict programmatic rules of how much money can, be invested in Reef, on aggregate. And then we would over time very gradually increase this number to make sure that if people lose money, that the project will be able to refund. As we've seen, and this is very great exchanges, what happens, we all know that they make a lot of money. So a hack happens, they lose 30 mil, they don't care, they can just cover it, the users are happy. So with this approach, we're trying to do exactly that. Just slowly increase the programmatic limits, make sure that if something happens, we're able to cover the costs and just keep progressing. So that's the only way to build like trust, both from like, trust from the point of view that it's a sustainable, it's a real product and people won't get like scammed and it's going to get rug pulled like all of those random projects that have anonymous teams. And on the other side, make sure that the security is very solid.
Okay. So I also wanted to invite people to your Telegram group. If they will have any additional questions, I believe they can ask them on the chat too. And I also see that you host a lot of Ask Me Anything, so just go ahead on the Telegram, guys. If you have any questions, then definitely one of the team members will help you. And I think we'll be wrapping this up here. Thank you so much for this interview, really means a lot to me, and I'm really happy that we could host that. And yeah, we'll be ending it here. So see you in the next videos.
Perfect. Thanks Alex, thanks for your time.
Thank you.